are with Liz and Rachel and the lovely Dennis, who we've just been seeing jumping in the new Comfort Elevation saddle. And of course, it's very, very different, isn't it, Rachel, because you're used to jumping in the fen.
Yes, it's very, very different because I've actually got support in front of the knee, which is quite nice, and it's very different for the from the flat ones normally have.
Because he's got such a powerful jump as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, Mum, you were going to say?
Well, the challenge we've got with him is that he's very, very powerful behind, and seems the height's not an issue. But what happens over the fence is that he actually curls through his shoulders. And what I was noticing out just now with him jumping is that obviously with the straight cut saddles that we use for the worker ring, you use them so you can show off the front. And we have no problem jumping with them, although people cross country sometimes is a challenge, or more to the commentators than to us. But that's today with the balance of the saddle, Rachel in the saddle, he seemed to be actually beginning to sit back more.
I think because I wasn't going so, because he is so powerful behind, he gives you a big kickback. I think sometimes I go forwards, and with the support here, I wasn't getting so over his front, so he wasn't.
He wasn't as curled in front. He was actually lifting the shoulders and actually being able to open the front, which of course is going to be necessary because he will do BSJA.
Yeah.
And although he's only just starting, he's training at the moment. We haven't actually had him to any competitions, largely because obviously Rachel's been pregnant. It's a challenge to actually get. You need to be able to sit back because he has to jump horse distances. He's not going to be jumping as a pony. He'll be jumping as a horse. And we found with the others, haven't we, Rachel, when in our other cob, you know that you fitted the ages ago now, Dee, wasn't it? The fen. It was a fen, wasn't it? The straight cut.
It was a fen saddle.
And you showed up. You won. What was it? Pretty British Novices.
Yeah.
Which
is pretty unique.
Yeah.
And a discovery.
Yeah, discovery.
But the challenge with the cobs jumping is to try and make up the distances, and you can't afford therefore to be coming up over the fence.
You have to move all the time in the horse distances, otherwise you end up a bit wrong, don't you? So.
And that's the thing, is if you're curled in front and you're not getting the openness of stride, it affects the landing. So on the landing, I mean, what you can describe it when you land, you feel as though you're going into the ground, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes, I do with him, just because he's so powerful behind, I do feel like, and then sometimes in a distance I need to move a bit more in the middle, and then you end up a bit further off the second half. So with that saddle, I mean, it really made a big difference there.
Excellent.
So it'd be interesting to work with it and sort of, do a comparison, I think.
The problem, of course, as I can see it, is that the front of it looks great. It doesn't look quite so good behind if you're going to put him in the ring as a worker.
It's not a showing saddle.
No, it certainly isn't a showing saddle. However, it would be nice if we had that front on a worker saddle.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe we might have to make
something else. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've not felt it that. Because with the cobs we always have the flat saddles, so I mean that just felt great. It felt.
I mean, on your horses you're used to having a.
Yeah, on the horses I do have to have knee pads and things, but it just felt really good, and it felt, I don't know, I could just sit into him more and really ride him into the fence. I felt more, so yeah, it was good.
And I mean the thing about him is that he always gives you the same amount of jump. He doesn't get, oh, I'm fed up with this now, I'm going to be flatter.
I would ride him into any height of fence though, because he's so powerful and he's got such a fab canter. That you just, I mean, I would ride him into any height. I wouldn't have an issue because he just feels, he's got all the jump, doesn't he?
But he's just such a really generous horse.
Yeah, he's an absolute star. I mean, for a stallion, he is just an absolute star. I mean, look at him now, obviously. Dogs here, everywhere. I mean, he goes on the lorry, stands on the lorry with mares, doesn't he? He goes hacking with mares, with geldings.
He can be.
He can be stallion-y, but he's not. I mean, he's an absolute delight. He's gentle, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he's lovely to do in the stable.
Yeah.
How old is Dennis?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Well, we're arguing about that, maybe.
Yeah, really, really good.
But how's he bred?
He's by a stallion called Cyffredin Welsh Flyer, who is actually now dead.
Oh no.
Very, very renowned stallion. And out of a mare line, which is from the Thornyside stud, which is again they're very famous performance cobs, particularly the Peter Grove and the Thornyside stud. They're all a lot of driving, tremendous moving animals, which of course I think is
well, we've all seen that.
We bought him as a foal, didn't we? We saw him come into the ring, and he was like, yep, that's the one for us.
with his rather sort of beautiful colouring as well. You know,
Yeah.
it's quite.
Well, the cobtails.
Yeah.
Where we are every year.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm going to have to sit with my hands in my pocket for the next few years.
It's very difficult with the prices.
The economy is not great, and the thing about that is interesting is he's got two things which are interesting. Number one, he has his tail over to the left always, and has had from a foal. And I had a group of physios here, vet physios, who I was teaching for their course, and I use him as a challenge because obviously tail left is, or tail right is quite, or stiff tail is quite indicative of back problems, and so I put him in as a cue to their thinking. So brought in something which had hock issues and had a bent tail, then brought in something with sacroiliac injury which had a bent tail, and then brought him in, and they said, well, we can't see anything wrong with him. But in fact, all of his progeny, because we then, the one next door is one of his, every single one, male or female, has a tail which is cocked to one side, which is, it is interesting. You do see it in the cobs, you do see it also in the Arabs quite a lot. They have this bent tail.
I've got a horse at home like it, but that's due to an injury he had about 3 years ago, and even though he's okay, the tail still sits that way.
The tail, as I say, is generally, because it's governed by muscles called sacrocaudal muscles. They go from the sacrum to the tail head, and they lift it, depress it, and they take it to one side and allow you to do all sorts of convolutions with it. In his case, he can go anywhere with it. He can go everywhere. It's completely mobile. But he just simply carries it.
He just chooses to carry it to one side.
Well, I think it must be that
He doesn't have it like that in the stable.
No,
only when he's moving. It's straight in the stable. But he breeds. All of his foals have got fab temperaments, haven't they? They've all got,
and they all have the action. So I think the action and the tail keep must be on the same gene.
But the action is just so extravagant, though, isn't it?
And he's got so much more to come as well. He really.
Well, he's only
asked
7,
for
so.
an extension, and he really does. He does give it to.
But also, he's been out of work since August last year. He's done absolutely nothing apart from recently I've lunged him and long ranged him in preparation for somebody getting on it.
He's only been ridden a couple of times since last year. So.
But he went really nicely.
He's a good boy, and that's the thing. He's not been ridden, and yet he still comes out and he still does the job. He's very.
Oh.
He's eating the
He's
baby.
going to eat the baby. No, thank you.
We like him a lot, and I'm very glad that.
He is my favourite, I think, just because he's so. I don't know. I just love everything about him. I love his. What's the word? Spark.
He's just got such presence, hasn't
Yeah,
he?
that's it.
And
Yeah,
I must
presence.
admit, whenever we come up and fit saddles, I always like to get all the flocking out of the way so I can come and watch you ride. I think he's my favourite as well.
And whenever at a show, you can't stop staring at him, can you? People, wherever you ride, everyone stares at him.
I'm sure the health and safety police are on a fit at this. We're standing outside, standing at the door with it wide open, with a baby.
With a baby.
So perhaps I ought to shut him in.
Yeah, maybe we should.